David Cree, live in Calgary, Alberta, and I don't know what Shanganappi. Basic income to me means people get what they need. Like in my mind, people um, actually can't even if someone's suffering from some kind of trauma disorder. I don't believe that it's that you're even necessarily capable of accessing all the resources, all the things that you need to get yourself out of those situations. And I think basic income gives a tool to make sure that the basic needs are being met of all the people in society so that they actually can work on themselves. They can focus on growth. They can actually feel safe and secure and stable and have some of those really basic needs met that frankly our system is not meeting on on the sort of the current way that we're doing it is just making sure that everybody has that base level of income that at the very least makes sure that their basic human needs are met of shelter, food, stability, security, so that they're not worried about where their food's coming tonight or where they're going to sleep. They know that stuff's covered. Now I can work on other things. I mean, I think I love the basic income model. I want to see more and more testing ultimately to make sure that the numbers make sense and how does it relate with the nonprofit agency model that we fund now. But in my view, we spend an inordinate amount of money trying to meet those basic needs, but we're not doing it well. We're not doing it efficiently. And I think even if I was purely conservative politically as an individual, I would support basic income because it costs society a lot less, in my mind, than our current nonprofit funding model of paying for shelters, paying for food, paying for all these needs in a more industrialized setting that's not individualized to people and isn't actually giving them those basic needs met.
Reality.
I think perception is the biggest challenge of basic income. I think there's a perception out there that people will just abuse it, that people will just not work and just take the basic income and sit at home and do nothing. In my experience of hiring people who are in those situations and trying to get out, and people who have funds, but people want to contribute to society. People want to feel part of community. People want to to have that interaction, to have the contribution, and ultimately I think when you give them that basic income support and give them the tools to actually then figure out what they want to do and how they can contribute into our society, they will contribute more. I don't think this will become a suck on society at all. I think it will become a mobilizer. And I think the biggest challenge is people's perception that it's just a handout. And I think we do lots of handouts now that are costing us an inordinate amount of money. So I think even just being able to take it, how much does it cost us right now to currently support someone who's in the system, accessing all those resources currently? How much does it cost us to support that person now? It's much higher than I think people would imagine. I think similar in Canada in our healthcare system, we don't even know how much a surgery costs sometimes. So like, how do you know that you're affecting things efficiently if you're not measuring what your outcomes are and what the cost is? So I think having a real clear idea of what's it costing us on average per person to deal with all these issues that I think basic income would deal with in terms of housing, food, shelter support, that kind of stuff. But there is a mental health aspect that comes from having your own home from your own income that cannot be measured per se. Maybe there's a way to measure that, but yeah, I just think there's so many benefits. So the more measurement we can do and really clearly identifying this is actually how much it's costing us, it's way more than we think to actually support people that we need to support. So let's look at different and more innovative models that are actually going to meet the need in a better way. I think that's the way forward. Basic income is a big issue for me. I think that ever since, like, I spent a day being homeless, and that's sort of what really was the catalyst for me starting Common Good Linens and starting to want to do something on the employment side of helping people who have those barriers even to getting back into the workforce simply because they're in those positions, no license, no bank account, no all that sort of stuff. So we really are quite passionate about both basic income and I'm not sure that living wage is the right model yet. I think I really want us to come to a place also where we say this is what an equitable wage looks like from a standpoint of a young person who's 16-year-old entering the workforce. What's an equitable wage for that person? What's an equitable wage for a person who's single living on their own? What's an equitable wage for a single mom who has to support family? What's an equitable wage for a full-on family, right? Because we're not all the same, and all the structures that we have currently in place are basically a one-size-fits-all. And so saying that living wage of like I think $18 in Calgary, it's not actually a good measurement, and I think it can create barriers that we don't even know about. Like setting that standard now, our employers are going to look at how do I have an efficient person at that standard. And so if it's an equitable, there's just a lot of conversation I think that has to happen around what wage should look like, and it's not one size fits all. And there are massive advantages also to running your own business. If you get to the point where you can be profitable and make money, then there are certain tax advantages when you're making money and have your own business and you can write off things and all that. But those are continuing being eroded away because people, well, that's not fair, that's not fair, that's not fair. But on the flip side, I'm not paying myself. I don't have access to WCB. I don't have access to EI. I don't have access to Social Security. Like I have none of those social nets. So if I got sick tomorrow, I'm screwed. So there's risk and reward in entrepreneurship, and there's an ongoing pressure to remove more of the reward because it seems unbalanced when you see a very, very rich entrepreneur who's made incredible success and you go, oh, that's not fair. But I think the average entrepreneur is really struggling. So some kind of, I think that's another aspect of how do you figure out that you can actually offer, if you're going to take away some of that, then offer some of the safety net for entrepreneurs that are building businesses. So that'd be a really interesting conversation.